Hello, everyone, everywhere. This is Bob Thibodeau with the Kingdom Crossroads podcast, and you are listening to the Going North podcast with my good friend Don Brightman. Be sure to subscribe to his podcast so you will not miss any of the upcoming episodes, and be blessed in all that you do.
And today on the Going North podcast, we bring you some fabulous humans from across the globe. Today is no different because today we have another member of the Chaos Declarative Train. Choo choo! Yes, indeed. One of the fabulous co-authors from the project. And this one is an extra special lady indeed because not only is she also part of this Chaos Clarity project, she has a book of her own, another one coming out in 2020 with New Vision, and she's also the president of her own company that's going to be inspiring the masses, that supports cancer patients and their families, GYRB. And for those who have not been living under five rocks and actually didn't know or didn't look at the episode title, probably know who I'm talking about. It's the one, the only Connie Bramer. How are you today, ma'am?
I am doing fantastic. How are you doing?
Doing fabulous, making it F and F for you. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. As I get deeper in these interviews, it's really interesting because it's like each person gets more interesting than the last.
Well, that's good to hear. That I got a high bar to set for today now.
Yep, that's right. Don't worry. There's no weed involved with the high bar. It's okay.
All right.
Oh man. But yes, indeed. So speaking of wonderful introductions, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of things that I've missed. Am I filling in some cavities where I missed some fillings?
That is such a great analogy. I love that. I'm gonna have to use that. Well, I'm an 11-year breast cancer survivor next week, which is just such a huge milestone. I'm pretty psyched about that. So I wrote, when I was going through my journey, I decided to write about it. I'm the fourth generation in my family to have had breast cancer. I'm the only one to have survived. My mom passed away 23 years ago at the age of 53. So it hit me very young. I had just turned 39 and my kids were very small. They were 7 and 8. And my way of coping with it is I thought, my mom always thought of it was the pink elephant in the room in my family when my mom had cancer. And I said, you know what? I don't want it to be that way. And I don't want it to be so much about me. I wanted it to be about giving cancer patients a voice. So I started to write my blog. And I wrote, I'm very snarky. I write, I always think of the funny. I find funny in just about everything. So I wrote about all the funny aspects of having cancer. Most of my friends call me a Pollyanna. So I wrote a lot of things that were funny in my blog. And it was a way for people to write back to me. It was on a Caring Bridge platform. And when I was well, one of my friends said to me, I've been reading your blog and we all are so happy you're well, but we miss your writing now that you're well, because I just stopped writing when I got better. So my friend Renee said to me, you know what, I think you would help a lot of people if you put it into a book. I think it would be, it would help a lot of people understand the path of someone who has cancer, have patients really kind of use it as basically a handbook to get through chemotherapy and surgery. So I said, yeah, I'll do it. So I spent about a year writing my book, and my kids at the time were maybe 9 and 10. And I said to them, listen up, unless you're bleeding or dying, do not bother me while I go in my room and write. So I said, just give me an hour. Right. So they knew what, and I will tell you, my kids got so devious over the whole thing because I was always on the phone working for my job from home when I was sick, actually. And my sons, held up robin's eggs, those Easter egg things. It was around Easter time, and I was in the middle of treatment, and he holds it up and points to it like, can I have some? I give him 2 fingers up. I go, 2 fingers. And he ate the whole thing and left me 2 robin's eggs in the back. So these are the kids that I was dealing with when I was sick. So I wrote about it, and I said, you kids just don't bug me while I'm writing my book. So I wrote my book, and I published it in 2012. I self-published. And, I had reached out to a few agents, a few publishing houses, and they're like, oh, breast cancer stories are a dime a dozen. And I thought, well, this is mine. And I really wrote it as a way to put my cancer in a box and bury it in the backyard and just kind of be done with it. Like it was cathartic to write. I find it very cathartic to write about just about anything, but especially my journey. So I wrote my book and I had a book launch party. I said, you know what? I know a lot of people in business. I invited a bunch of friends. I had 100 people my first time. And I said, you know what? I want to turn it into a fundraiser because I'm in business. I also have my full-time job in the automotive industry. So I said, I want to turn it into a fundraiser. So we raised about $5,000 the first year, and I gave it to the American Cancer Society. And then I did it again the following year. It got bigger and it got bigger and bigger. And in 2015, I said, you know what? I'm tired of giving money to other organizations. Not that there's anything wrong with them, but I wanted to know the people that we were helping. Not so much know them personally, but know that they were people who live local to me. Like if someone gives me money, I want them to know it's going to a patient in their town. So that's what I started doing. So my platform for my foundation was just to be able to give back after all of my cancer, because people really reached out and helped. It was very humbling to accept help from people because I'm kind of a doer. So people would bring me meals. People came and, took my kids home from their after school program, brought them home for me. There were a lot of really amazing people that emerged. And I thought, there's got to be a way that I can pay this forward in some way. So my foundation, Get Your Rack Back, which ironically we kind of named it after my book. And my kids, I said, what should we name it? And my son said, Mom, you're like known as the Get Your Rack Back chick, so just call it Get Your Rack Back. So I was like, all right, I'll call it Get Your Rack Back. So it's kind of a misnomer. People think we only help breast cancer patients, but we help cancer patients, men, women, and children with all types of cancers. So every patient we help receives $500 in financial services, and they are gas and grocery gift cards and medical co-payment assistance. Because truthfully, not just where I live, but everywhere, cancer patients are having to choose between, paying for treatment and paying for groceries for their family. And it's a really difficult time for a lot of patients. And I was fortunate. I worked at home, while I was sick. So I had the ability to just, have my laptop sit on my bed and work when I felt well enough. But there are people that have to get up every day and go to work. And it's difficult when you're going through chemotherapy. So there's a lot of gaps in people's pay and working and having some funds for their medication and for transportation. So we try to bridge that gap. So I've been at it now. I've been fundraising now for about 8 years. Truly, truly my passion, to be honest. It's so rewarding to help others. I think I've taught my kids that. They've learned that the best thing in life is just being kind and giving of yourself to other people. I think that's the big lesson that I've learned from my cancer. So I have my foundation, and we're actually coming up on our 5th annual Christmas stocking drive. So we have an event in December, obviously, and we have people give us stocking stuffers. And I have an event that we have a great time at. It's called Diamonds in December. And then we stuff and deliver stockings to children affected by cancer. And so far, we've delivered over 1,500 stockings. And this is in upstate New York. This is in the entire 518 area code that we have our foundation.
Sweet.
Yeah, sorry for the ramble on, but I'm very passionate about it, as you can see. I'm very excited about what we do. It's important to help other people. And I hope that is the greatest lesson that I can teach someone, is that, just give of yourself and be kind.
Oh, there you go, being kind indeed. It's a 5-year anniversary for the Diamonds in December event, right?
Yes. Yep. 5-year anniversary. I'm pretty psyched about it. It's going to be a good time.
Woohoo! Virtual high five for you. There you go.
Thank you.
Yes, indeed. 11 years of conquering that breast cancer. That's right. She's a conqueror, y'all. Connie is a conqueror. That's right. She's the champ, baby. That's right. She's the champ. And I got to admit, when I got to the end of the your story, and I checked out your book, Tom. I'm like, all right, how Connie got her rack back? I just busted out laughing. I'm like, yeah, this is definitely a super special, awesome human. It's like because most
Well,
folks don't
good.
find the humor after going through certain setbacks like that in life.
Well, I really felt like that's what I've always laughed about things. And that's really having a sense of humor does get you through pretty much anything, I think. But, when I used to travel a lot, planes, trains, and automobiles, minus the trains for my job. And I was in an airport once, and I was in the midst of writing my book. And I was, what you think about, you can bring about. Like, I'm a true believer in that. So I was looking at, how they have the Hudson, I don't know if they have this everywhere, but Hudson News in the airports where you can go and get, water, magazines, books, whatnot, gummy bears, the whole 9 yards. And I was looking at all these books facing outward while I was walking by. And I thought, you know what? I was initially going to name my book, How Connie Got Her Boobs Back. And then I thought, there's no way on earth that any clerk is going to go and say, you know what, I think this is going to be a great seller. Let's put this outward so people can see it when they're walking by. So that was really what the name of the book was going to be. And then I changed it to Rack Back. So yeah, that's a little funny story about that. But yeah, the initial title was How Connie Got Her Boobs Back. I had to change it up. And then if I had my foundation be, get your boobs back, that really wouldn't have gone over really well. And actually, my attorney did not tell me this until afterwards, because when you start a nonprofit, it is such a learning curve. Like, no one I guess there might be a handbook out there for it, but I had never read it. So I just kind of, learned as I went along. So I told him the name of what I wanted to do. He goes, okay, I'll submit it. We'll hear back soon, blah, blah, blah. It comes back. And I had changed a couple of things because a patient had passed away from not having treatment because she needed to work. And I heard about the story from one of my surgeons. And I said, we cannot have this. So I went back to the drawing board and I said, I want to be able to help people with co-payment assistance. And nobody does that I'm aware of. Where I live, no other foundation provides co-payment assistance. So I wanted to do that in memory of that patient, honestly. So when I did it, it delayed my 501c3 becoming a 501c3. And when you apply, you have no idea what date the AG and the IRS says, okay, you're a nonprofit. Well, the craziest thing, Dom, it came back my mom's birthday.
Oh, wow.
Of all the days of the year, March 17th, St. Patrick's Day, my mother's birthday. And I thought that has to be a sign of really wonderful things to come for this mission I have. So it's been nothing but joy. And we've helped, I believe, 100 and, well, no, not 100. We've given out $122,000 in assistance. So what's that? 244 patients. I can't even think today. I can't even do math. Like, I give out money all the time, Dom. I can't even do math. But yeah, we've helped. I think it's 246 patients. I think, yeah, 246 patients. So that's what we've given out. So it's been wonderful. And my kids have learned so much about giving, and it's just, we have so many people in the community involved, and it's been great. So in the Chaos to Clarity book, Kat Cannabis is just fabulous. And so is Patricia Caganello. And Kat said to me, I think you should write something. I think you need to write in this book. So she asked me to write about change and how, my cancer changed me. And I wrote, of course, about the funny aspects of, being a size 2 when I wasn't expecting to be a size 2, and how, weight fell off me like a melting popsicle in the heat of summer. And I wrote about, how I was in the highly coveted size 2 that we women beat ourselves up to get to, but I had to be sick to get there. So I wrote about all of that. And I wrote about a lot of the stories that I write about, especially in Biz Catalyst 360, are my dating stories after having had cancer, because I was newly divorced after, just before I had my cancer, with my kids being, 6 and 7 when I got divorced. And then I had cancer when they were 7 and 8. And I write about all of my crazy dating stories, and there are some humdingers. So I wrote a little bit about that and the chaos to clarity and how that affects me. But it was a joy to be part of that book. And it is I am truly blessed to be part of that amazing collaboration, because the writers in that book are incredible. I don't know if you've been reading the book. Have you been reading the book, Tom?
Oh yeah, I mean,
Yeah. Okay.
kind of strange if I didn't.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, I know it's, it's on pre-sale right now, but it is just, I'm just truly honored to be a part of it. I mean, Kat, she has a way of drawing, and Patricia too, drawing information out of people in such an eloquent way. They really have a gift about them to do that.
Oh yeah. Yes indeed. Yes indeed. Shout out to those two fabulous ladies. Yes indeed. Yes indeed. Especially the powerful Reverend Patricia. Yes indeed. And the beautiful thing about it is you mentioned incredible stories, and you also mentioned something underlined which is very powerful, is that you only allowed yourself to, after a certain point, is to have 5-minute meltdowns. Only 5 minutes.
That's right. I did. Because I talk to a lot of cancer patients, and all the patients that we help, I write a personal letter to. I ask all of the nurse navigators that I work with to tell me about the patient, so I can write something that's meaningful to them. I don't just write, a standard letter to every patient. And, one of the things when I talk to people is, there are people who are always worse off than you. And I know that sounds crazy to think about in the world of cancer, but it's very true. And I felt that if I had, you could end up never getting out of bed. And I didn't see that being an option. And I said to myself, I'm only going to allow myself a 5-minute meltdown. And I didn't even have that daily. I just had tried to find a way to push it out of my mind. And I know this sounds kind of crazy, but I do weird things. So, that game at the carnival where you shoot, you line up and you shoot those things that go down, like if you shoot it, it goes down.
Oh yeah, the duck hunt game, right?
Yeah. All right. Well, whatever that game is, whenever I was having a moment with my cancer, I would envision it however it was in my mind. If it was like me sitting having chemo, me having surgery, me sick, me not feeling well, whatever the issue was, that was the thing that fell down as I shot it. Does that sound crazy?
Well, not as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Well, I think your mind is very powerful, and the mind is very powerful and healing. And I've known patients who've had such dread of it coming back that they find it crippling, and then it comes back. And I know that sounds crazy to even say out loud, but it happens. And if you get yourself into a mindset of illness, and not even ill, but ill-willedness towards yourself, it can happen. And it sounds kind of silly too, but I deliver packages to patients at my oncology office. I, to this day, cannot get in the elevator of my doctor, of my oncologist, because when you've had chemotherapy, that smell. And it permeates from people's bodies like a bad night, a bender, at a bar. How vodka, the alcohol seeps out your pores the next day. That's how it is with chemotherapy. I can't get in the elevator there because it smells like chemo. I always walk up the stairs, because when you get in that elevator, and I only did it a couple times in the beginning, you get thinking, oh my God, I smell that. Like, what if it comes back? And you can get yourself into a bad mindset. So I always tell patients, take, just a few minutes for your own sanity to grieve what you're going through. But the real grieving process after I had cancer was after I had cancer. So like when you're in it to win it. You're in it for the day. You're in it to get through the day. You just do what you have to do to make it through the day, make it through the hour, and then make it through the day. And then when I was done, had a real moment of reflection, and I thought, wow, I could have left my kids motherless. But you can't think about that stuff while you're in it, because you got to have your game face on and fight. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, definitely got to keep the game face on like neck bone. That's right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yes, indeed. And it's great you're able to sustain that, because you mentioned how that was probably one of the biggest things that you developed over time is your thinking.
It was. I mean, you have to, we always, I hate to say this, but women, we always say men have a way of compartmentalizing things, right? Like we break up with somebody and we women, we like analyze it to death. And the guy like puts it in his little box in his mind. He's like, okay, I got to go to work.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
It's true. It's true. Like it's a very true fact. Talk to any of my girlfriends. We all say the same thing. When you have an illness, you have to learn that same skill. You have to learn to put it in a box and set it aside. So like I would have a day of not feeling well. I had to go to something at my kid's school, or I had to go to a soccer game. I even coached soccer for my kids while I was recuperating, I guess you could say, when I was on the back nine of getting better. But you have to put it in a little box and put it away. And I just had a conversation the other day with a cancer patient who called me and he was crying, and he told me that he didn't think anybody, cared about him. And we had given him gift cards for groceries, and he had my number because I put my card in all my letters. And he called me and said, I didn't think anybody cared about me. And I told him in my letter to him that, you've got to fight, like keep fighting, get up every day and do your best to get through the day. And he said, that's exactly what I'm going to do. And I said, you got to find a way to put it in a box. So we talked about that for a little while. And he's like, I'm going to do it. But you have to learn it. Not everybody is, we're not all of us are men. No offense, Dom. But, you guys do that. Don't you agree with me?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
Right?
Yep. It's like, it'll be all right. It'll be all right. It's just a 5-minute thing. It's like, yeah, it's just it's her loss. I'll be all right.
Yeah, right. Well, that's exactly right. But that same mentality really does come into play when you have an illness, because no matter what it is, if it's MS, if it's Lou Gehrig's disease, whatever it is, you sit and you think about it and think about it and think about it and think about it. And I remember, like, every morning when I got up, first thing I thought when I got up, I'm like, oh man, I have cancer. Like, that was the first thing I thought. And then I thought, all right, well, what am I going to do today to get by? How am I going to do it? And I remember when I was going through chemo, it was awful. And I think to this day, if someone said, hey, listen, you got to go back at it, or you can have a kidney removed. And I'd say, hey, who's my anesthesiologist? Because it's just not something I would want to go through again. No, you ask anybody, they would want to go through it again. But I remember every day I'd say, what do I have to do to get through it today? And I remember asking my oncologist one day, I said, so you've given me all this medicine, they give you compazine, they give you a couple other things. And I said, well, what can I take? And he goes, take it all, sleep through it. So I have a friend right now who was just diagnosed with cancer and not the same as mine. And I said to her, you gotta sleep through it, have your chemo. And I said, that's the best way to cope. Get through it, take the meds and sleep through it. So I laugh because when I was going through it, I had so many medications, Dom. It was like a spice rack in my bathroom. And I used to do for my job at the time, webinars where I would train people. They're on the other, they're not seeing my face, thank God, but because it would have been scary, but they were seeing, my screen, and I'm showing them stuff. Well, I was supposed to take one of my cancer meds, and I almost took an Ambien. And I took it, put it
Oh
in my mouth,
no.
and I'm like, oh no, this is the wrong one. So I take it out, and I get on the call with the guys. I'm like, hey guys, this could have been a super short meeting. I go, but I saved the day. I'm not taking Ambien. So, it's just such an adventure. But I mean, I look back on it, I can't believe it's been 11 years, but it's 11 years of so many blessings. I mean, both my kids are in college now. I saw them both graduate from high school. I just had my annual physical a couple of months ago, and I am in perfect health, except maybe I'm a little crazy. Who knows?
Hey, I'm all for the crazy, the good
Yeah,
crazy
right.
anyway. I mean, dancing around in a giant camel suit with a cucumber on top. I mean, that's the good crazy. Now, like,
Yeah, that would be crazy. Yeah. I
yeah.
like to laugh a lot. I laugh at myself all the time.
Ah, there you go. The secret to success right there. Have
That is.
yourself first, and then no one else can do it. Well, I mean, they could, but they wouldn't have any power in doing so.
That's right. That's right. I always tell my kids, I'm like, find something to laugh about. It'll get you through anything. My daughter's studying nursing right now in college. She's a sophomore. She's got a tough test coming up, and I said, just do what you got to do and find a way to laugh about it while you're doing it.
That's right, especially with nursing.
Yeah, well, you know what's amazing? She wanted to be a nurse after she saw how wonderful the nurses were to me. And not that she was there with me for any of my treatments. My kids never went to anything. I did not allow that. But they know how close I am with the ones who help me with their patients. And they know how important they are to me. So she took that on and said, I want to be a nurse because I saw that. So that's one positive thing that came. That's one of many positive things that came out of my journey.
Oh, yeah, that's right. The good nurses. It's always great to hear good stuff about the nurses.
They're wonderful. I think nurse navigators are really underrated. They are wonderful people. And her name is Diane, and I called her Deborah in my book to give her some oh my God, to be anonymous. I can't even say the word today. Anonymity. There we go.
Thought you're going for human anatomy, but
I'm
okay.
having like Alzheimer moments, and I'm not even saying that to be funny, but I just am lately. Anyway, must be turning 50. Who knows? But she was wonderful to me, and she hooked me up with my surgeon. She helped me find my oncologist, because when you're diagnosed with cancer, I mean, who do you know? If you had to pick, would you even know a surgeon? Like for me, it was a breast surgeon, or would you even know an oncologist to pick? Like most people don't know that stuff,
Yeah, it's
you
true.
know? So they're just wonderful people. They really I don't want to say they're hand holders, but they're hand holders in a wonderful way, in a warm way that gets people through some seriously difficult times in their life. And I thank her every time I see her. I thank her because she's pretty wonderful.
Yay.
Yay.
Yay. And that's very powerful right there, especially in New York where it's cold this time of year.
Yes. Actually, it is very cold. I almost didn't want to leave my house the other day. I sent my boss he's down in South Jersey, and I had a little laugh because I sent him a screenshot of my temperature, which was 12. And I'm a big meme. I love funny memes. And I found one of Jack Nicholson from The Shining. You know how he freezes at the end, on his face, and it says at the top, boss be saying, put a scarf on it and get to work. And I sent that to him. I have to laugh about it. It is. Where are you?
The land of charm, crime, and crabs, Baltimore.
Oh. I love your terminology. One of my friends is going to move to Baltimore next year in April. She's looking at houses there. That's funny. I love your I love your way of describing it.
Oh, yeah, it gets a laugh every time. It gets a laugh every time. It's like, we're more than the wire, folks. I mean, we have wires, but we're more than the wire.
Oh, God.
Yes, indeed. Heck, probably to get your friends' contact info closer to the moving date, so she'll have another person in her Rolodex.
Yeah, I absolutely will. She will love you. She's the one I traveled to Portugal with. We had a lot of laughs. Do you know that Portugal, when you're in Portugal, you're walking uphill both ways, like your parents tell you? You know, I walked to the bus both ways, shared booths with my brother, and it was uphill both ways. It actually is like that in Portugal.
Oh,
We
wow.
walked uphill a lot of ways. It was pretty funny.
Oh, wow. So getting all sorts of exercise too. There you go.
Yeah, we had a great time. We had to work off all the wine we were drinking.
Was there any whining after the wine?
No, not even a little bit.
Oh, good. All right, good. Yeah, some drink the wine just to wine. I'm like, all right, nope.
Well, they you know, they take 2-hour. They can't. I don't think they call it siestas there, but they're, you know, checked out from 1 to 3. Only the, you know, they don't work. We should do that in America. What do you think?
Amen to that, because most folks have food coma.
Right. Well, the food there was so good, and we discovered a wine called Vino Verde. It's a light white with, you know, a little sparkling. Oh, it went down like hint water, which is my favorite water. Hint water. It went down like hint water. It's delicious.
Ooh. Oh, yeah. I guess we went down the winding road.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
True.
Yep. There's always going to be a corn on the cob somewhere in these interviews. Well,
Yeah. You're it.
that's right. Cooler than 3 cucumbers, maybe.
I appreciate you. I appreciate you having me on. It's nice to chat with you. It really is.
Sweet. That's right indeed. That's right indeed. And not left.
Right.
Well, speaking of all sorts of rightness, if you were to wake up tomorrow and you were 25 again in the current year of 2019 with all of your mass knowledge and experience, what advice would you give to yourself?
Well, that's a good one. I probably would say don't sweat the small stuff. That'd be my number one thing. Because I've always been a worrier, and it's interesting because when I was going through my cancer, I had to put that aside. And then, you know, always been like a type A worrier type of personality. I think I tell myself to chill out a little bit more. And I get mad at myself sometimes now because even though I'm well, you know, in my business for my job, I get stressed out and feel a little type A. And I say to myself, hey, hang on, sister. Like, you're lucky you're here. Relax. So if I was 25 again, that's what I would tell myself. Make better decisions about your spouse. That would have been a good one. That would have been a really good one. And then just not sweating the small stuff and just not getting all riled up about stuff you can't control. You know, I tell my kids all the time, you can only control how you react to things, not how other people react to things.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Because, I mean, there is a way to control their reactions a bit. It's just not legal.
Right. That's a little off color. Sorry, John. Got to have a little humor.
Oh, I'm all about the humor, especially good humor.
Yeah.
Not just the ice cream either.
Although those are pretty good. I like the strawberry things. So the little crunchy things on them. Those are pretty good.
Oh, yeah, the strawberry shortcake ice cream.
Yes, love those.
Ah, you're good people then. Oh, man, I love those. Those are freaking awesome.
You can't find them anywhere. Just an FYI. They don't exist in New York. I can't find them. But that was good stuff.
What? They took them. Ah, darn. I have to go on a goose chase again.
Yeah. I'll have to find the Vino Verde, the wine from Portugal, and then I'll find those strawberry shortcake humor bars. Oh, it'll be dinner. Be a great dinner.
Oh, yeah. Call that the Happy Meal right there.
Yeah. Totally.
That's right. Take that, McDonald's. This is the real Happy Meal.
That's right.
Woohoo! Well, it's not about McDonald's. It's all about the Connie. So for those who want to keep in touch with the champ herself, what's the best way for folks to reach out to you?
You can go on my website, which is GYRB.org. So it's Get Your Rack Back, GYRB.org. And you can find me on thehumorofitall.wordpress.com to find my blog. And I'm also a featured contributor on bizcatalyst360.com.
Oh, yeah. Well, there you have it, folks. Forget about Xbox 360, even though that's like 10 years old. It's all about Biz Catalyst 360, folks.
That's right. That's right.
Yes, indeed. Shout out to the wonderful Dennis Batoko, Mr. DP himself. That's right.
Yes.
Yes, indeed. Oh, he might not like that nickname. But yeah, check out that site, though. Check out that
No, you
master
know
site.
what? You want to know what's so great about his magazine, his online magazine, is that there are just so many creative people on that, that contribute, and so many different topics. It's almost like, you click on Yahoo in the morning, right? Or Google, and all those articles, different articles, news articles. I mean, obviously mostly it's news, but Yahoo has all different stories. It reminds me a lot of that, because I get onto Biz Catalyst and like an hour and a half later, I'm still reading, and I've read on about, 15, 16 different topics. It's really, they've done an amazing job with that online digest. It's incredible.
Oh yeah, it's true. It's nice and colorful too, and it's all good stuff too. It's not none of that crap that they push out to make you extra depressed.
Exactly. It's all inspiring, and some of it's raw, and it's just really good. I love it. I'm very honored to be part of it.
Oh yeah, that's right. Definitely gotta put that also in the notes of the show, aka show notes. Yes, indeed. Connie the contributor right there. Oh yeah, she's the CTC right there, the good CTC. Well, actually, there's multiple CTCs. We got the Chaos, the Clarity. We got Connie the Conqueror, Connie the Champ.
Yeah. Connie the Champ. That's a
Yeah,
good one.
yeah, that's right. Well, speaking of champion words, any parting words for the folks still listening?
Well, I guess I would just say, whatever difficulties you're facing, keep keeping on. That's what I always say. Keep keeping on. There's always a light at the end of the tunnel.
Hey there, buddy. Looks like you made it to the end of this episode. Since you made it to the end of this episode, do both of us a favor and stop being greedy. Stop it right now and share this episode with your friends and your fellow podcast lovers, especially those who have book clubs and want to listen to the authors who write some amazing books. Be sure to check out the rest of the backlog too while you're at it, and share all those too.